Humanity and its newfound allies foiled the gravity bomb launch, toppled the last vestiges of the Dominion, and signed the Living Archives Accord, trading shared culture and knowledge for power. The Remember banner shifted from a mark of vengeance to a symbol of collective memory, while restored beacons now broadcast every people's history along the star lanes. In the ruins of former empires, Earth's seedlings sprout beside alien flora, proof that the past can't be erased when Guardians stand watch. Stay tuned to find out how the story ends, and don't forget to subscribe. In the coal-black hush of interstellar night, a single cargo tug drifted through the Eskian drift, its running lights extinguished, reactor humming on fumes. It was an ugly wedge of patched titanium, the sort of vessel customs officials ignored because paperwork for it had vanished 2 regimes ago. Yet inside the cramped cockpit, Lieutenant Mara Hale sat ghost still, fingers poised over a cracked throttle, breathing in measured counts of 4. Every scar on the console, every flicker in the antiquated HUD, felt like part of her own wounded skin. Behind her, 6 figures in mismatched combat harnesses braced against bulkhead struts. They represented 5 different species: Altari, Vex, Sylvan, a wiry Grat technician, and 1 other human besides Mara, but their eyes shared the same ember glow, the look of creatures whose fear had calcified into purpose. At their feet lay a coffin-long crate wrapped in black canvas and coated chains. No one spoke of its contents. They all knew it was the first match they would strike against a galaxy drenched in old gasoline. Mara clicked the comm toggle twice, no words. It was the signal to begin. The tug's outdated FTL spool groaned, and the stars outside the viewport smeared into pale threads. 43 seconds later, they fell back into re-space a bare 1,000 kilometers off the bow of an Iraq Dominion treasury barge. The barge was everything the tug was not: gold-plated, proud, escorted by a picket frigate whose hull gleamed with heraldic sigils. Its transponder pinged in arrogant bursts, property of the Dominion, clear vector, or be excised. The Dominion had ruled this sector for 4 centuries on the twin pillars of elegance and cruelty. Their tariffs starved moons, their tribute patrols executed miners who came up light on quotas. And they had long ago erased humanity from their catalog of threats, listing Earthfall as a tragic lesson in self-cannibalization. That oversight had ended tonight. Mara throttled forward. The tug's profile still registered as harmless salvage, so the frigate barked only a perfunctory warning. By the time its gunners noticed the tug's cargo bay yawning open, it was already too late. The coffin crate slithered out on magnetic rails, shell halves irising away to reveal a raven-black missile studded with repurposed mining spikes. No propulsion, just railgun launch from the tug into perfect intercept. It punched through the barge's hull amidships, burying itself deep in treasury vault plating before its warhead blossomed into seething violet. Not an explosion, a pocket singularity measured in microseconds, engineered to tear open alloy but spare nearby life support. The treasury vessel's lights died. Gravity flipped twice, and every control circuit fused into carbon lace. The frigate wheeled to engage, but Mara's allies were already in motion. The Altari pair fired grapnel torpedoes, reeling the tug onto the barge's flank. Vex saboteurs vaulted across umbilical tethers with silent grace, plasma cutters whining at the frigate's sensor vanes. It took 137 seconds to neutralize both Dominion ships. It took 10 more to patch a broadcast into every customs buoy from Eskian to the Rain Verge. A human voice, male, rough velvet, spoke over emergency channels. "We are Memory Company. Your debts are recalled. Your arrogance is past due. No threats, no demands. Just a statement of audit." Mara keyed engines, pulling her tug away as the treasury barge's cargo pods vented into vacuum, hundreds of ingots stamped with the Dominion sunburst tumbling like dull comets. She watched them spin, knowing salvage skiffs from debt-choked worlds would already be scrambling to scoop the precious alloy. Tonight wasn't about wealth, it was about demonstration. Dominion coffers were not untouchable, and the species they had ground under serum steel boots had found new teeth. 51 sublight hours later, on the fortress orbital of Vantarian, Chancellor Kazur of the Dominion stared at a frozen holoframe of Mara's tug darting away against a backdrop of scattered ingots. His primary crest quivered. "Humans," he hissed, tasting the word like poison turned sweet. "Extinct vermin learn new tricks." Admiral Cyrex, bronze scales coiffed like a courtier, folded his hands. Analytics confirmed DNA registry from the boarding debris. 2 of the assailants human, others disenfranchised client species. Microsingularity device built from Terran schematics lost during the Exodus Age. Kazur's gaze sharpened. "Find their nest and cleanse it. Triple the patrol tithe." Publicly, Cyrex bowed, thinking how triple tithe would starve more frontier children, breed more desperation. A small voice inside him wondered if that might be the insurgents' true aim. On a barren ice rock designated K-42, hidden beneath kilometers of crust, Mara Hale reported to the man whose voice had rattled Dominion relays. Captain Aiden Cross sat at a stone table lit by a single sodium lamp, features lean, smile ghostly. Tattoos of defunct Terran regiments curved along his throat like map lines to forgotten wars. Did the hook set? He asked. Mara slid a data chip across the table. Dominion freight schedules. Encryption already broken. They'll bleed from logistics for weeks. But they'll answer hard. Of course. Cross pushed a tin mug toward her. Strong black CAF steamed. That's when Phase 2 begins. We're not resurrecting an empire. We're burying theirs. Mara sipped, felt caffeine burn warmth into battle-shocked veins. Around them, humans and aliens alike pored over star charts, welded scavenged hull plating onto strike pods, or tested EXA rifles whose stocks still bore corporate logos of factories that once refused to sell to unregistered sapients. Every tool was repurposed, every breath was a vow. Cross stood, shoulders stiff. Remember our creed, he called to the cavern. Conversations stilled as dozens of throats echoed back. We carve remembrance into those who profit from forgetting. Mara felt the words settle like armor. Outside, storm winds howled across the ice, sweeping fresh drifts over heat-baffled bunker doors. Let the Dominion search. Memory Company had already become weather, everywhere, patient, eroding. 3 weeks and 4 raids later, Dominion propaganda drones flickered through orbitals declaring the humans mere pirates, their allies duped, their singularity tech stolen nonsense. On marketplaces, however, metal stamped with the sunburst now purchased medicine for plagued towns, and whisper markets traded coordinates of memory-safe harbors. Children painted their cheeks with crude helix symbols, the old Terran DNA double spiral stylized into a dagger. In response, Chancellor Kazurer authorized Operation Nightwater, a task force of 8 hunter cruisers crewed by Black Lancer Marines, famed for boarding actions executed with ritual dismemberment. Their mission: seize a confirmed memory way station on the moon of Larkos 4 and broadcast executions in 4 spectrum to quash myth-making. When Nightwater arrived, they found the station already abandoned, walls smeared with a single phrase spelled in plasma scorch. You're late. The cruisers barely had time to digest humiliation before every comm buoy, within 12 light minutes, erupted in a viral loop of Chancellor Kazur's own private orders, leaked, unredacted, detailing starvation quotas for frontier slums. The feed included faces of children dead to ration cuts. Public rioting ignited on 6 Dominion worlds within the hour. Below the riot-torn skyscrapers of Sylvath Prime, fixer-turned-smuggler Leo Wren dragged Mara Hale through a maintenance hatch into comparative quiet. Smoke curled skyward from burnt transports. Dominion riot mechs tromped on crowds. Mara's ribs ached from baton strikes. But her eyes blazed satisfaction. In her pocket, a datapod hummed, content stolen from a governor's office listing traitor payments. Proof to turn Dominion senators against each other like sharks sniffing wounded kin. Leo spat dust. Your captain promised liberation, but cities are burning. Mara wiped blood from her lip. It has to burn before seeds sprout. He stared, then laughed, a sharp, startled sound. Humans, always ready to till with fire. Fire remembers where the plow forgot, Mara answered, the old Terran proverb foreign yet rhythmic on her tongue. They slipped into the night toward an extraction beacon, city sirens chasing them like hungry wolves. News cycles reached the Triarch Council of Gra Underlords, massive silicon-boned behemoths previously content to let the Dominion absorb rebel stings. Now they smelled weakness. War drums thundered in subterranean halls, supplies rerouted to armories. The Dominion, once unassailable, was bleeding friends faster than it bled credits. Captain Cross convened Memory Company lieutenants in the K-42 war room. Holomaps showed dominoes toppling, strike cells on 7 worlds, Dominion debt market spiking. Next, he said, tapping a flashing icon, we seize the retrofit yards at Arcturus Gate, build our own fleet from what they abandoned. An Altari sniper clicked mandibles, yards protected by a Dread garrison and 3 Skyhammer cannons. Casualty ratio unfavorable. Cross smiled, eyes glinting with something perilously close to joy. Unfavorable odds are memory's favorite ink. We write bolder. Mara felt her pulse kindle at the madness. She pictured those cannons, gleaming barrels that had never aimed at voices they deemed unworthy, and she found she wanted nothing more than to hear them sing for the forgotten. As memory forces mustered, a ghost wave slipped into human net chatter, a garbled SOS from a hidden Earth vault long thought empty. For words only, seed bank compromised, urgent. Earth, the myth planet, cradle turned tomb, still held breath, and something, or someone, had disturbed its sleeper cradle seeds. Mara saw Cross's jaw tighten, the past they weaponized now called home for help. Cross spoke softly, privately, that night. We can't fight for memory while letting home rot unseen. We split the spear. Arcturus gate proceeds. You lead a recon to Sol. He handed her a ring of antique brass keys, symbolic more than real. Unlock our birthplace, hail. Remind the graves we remember them. Mara accepted, heart hammering. The crusade had never felt more impossible or more necessary. Beyond bunker walls, Aurora flickered across alien skies. Dominion patrols pressed harder, yet every pressure crack only widened the fault lines. Somewhere in those fractures lay the tipping point. Empires toppling not by orbital bombardment, but by a single awful realization echoing through boardrooms and throne rooms alike. Humans never forget, and they teach the forgotten to remember with them. The galaxy had begun to count the cost of such remembrance, and the ledger showed nothing but red. The salvage cutter brass lantern exited slipstream at the ragged edge of Sol's heliopause, hull plating shimmering with frost where the interstellar medium had kissed ablative shields. To untrained sensors, it looked like any other tramp freighter eking out a living on scrap, but its drive wake carried the hidden watermark of Memory Company, and in her cockpit Lieutenant Mara Hale felt the gravity of ancestral ghosts tighten across her ribs. Ahead, the sun glowed a sullen orange through dust-streaked viewports, encircled by a thin halo of derelict satellite hulls, rusted beads on an orbital rosary muttering prayers no one had answered for 3 centuries. Mara's 4-ship recon flight swept scanners, cataloging the wrecked infrastructure. Asteroid mining rings collapsed in on themselves. Ort gate relays offline. The once famed Terran beacon array silent, its dishes drooping like wilted petals. A hush fell over comms. Most of these volunteers, Altari scout Thrin, Sylvan pilot Kess, even the jittery Grat Tech Free, had joined Memory to chase legends of human fury, not to gaze on the bones of humanity's Eden. Mara keyed a private circuit to calm the tremor in her voice. Mission clock starts now, she said. Objective 1. Confirm source of SOS. Objective 2. Extract archival seed bank if intact. Eyes open for Dominion snoops. No one asked why the Dominion might care about a dead blue marble. Mara knew the answer. Myth had market value, and empires loved to hoard it. They threaded past statues of orbital night, mothballed war platforms, mirror-bright solar sails torn to ribbons, arriving at a cratered cylinder once labeled Valhalla Station. Docking clamps failed to respond. Kess hot-wired thrusters to match spin while Thrin fired auto-grapnels, welding the brass lantern to a broken airlock rim. There was no atmosphere beyond, but the vault door bore a faded emblem still visible through soot, a stylized oak leaf over twin helixes, the sigil of Earth's Ark Initiative. Inside was silence and powdered rust. Mara's mag boots clanged along gantries littered with cryo-casket shards. Datapads fused into slag suggested someone had torched archives in a hurry. Vree's antennae quivered as he unspooled fiber probes. Residual metabolic trace, he chirped. One individual, maybe 2. Recent hours, not days. Alive. Uncertain. Heat bloom minimal but present. They fanned out. Down a corridor sprayed with ancient bullet holes, they found a sealed blast door patched with scavenged Dominion armored panels, modern welds on antique framework. Mara rapped knuckles. A muffled voice answered, thick with recycled air desperation. Identify, it croaked. Mara Hale of Memory Company. We received your distress call. Metal scraped. The door cracked, revealing a gaunt human in patched vacuum suit gripping a flechette pistol. Behind him, racks upon racks of seed canisters blinked soft green, life dormant but viable. The survivor's eyes widened at Mara's face, equal parts shock and awe. You're real. He staggered. I'm Dr. Elias Wren, caretaker of Arc Vault Theta. I thought, no one left to hear. Mara eased his weapon down. We remember. Wren ushered them inside. A single emergency reactor pulsed. He explained. 2 weeks prior, Dominion scavengers calling themselves the Apex Syndic had breached an outer vault, looting artifacts. Wren jammed their beacon and triggered the SOS before sealing himself in Theta. They'll return with heavier gear, he warned, and when they do, these seeds die. Mara relayed update to Captain Cross via encrypted microburst. His reply came swift. Protect the vault at all costs. We move Arcturus strike ahead of schedule to divert Dominion response. Within 20 minutes, Apex Syndic ships blinked onto local sensors, 3 Corvette-class cutters draped in Dominion subcontract tax. They fired warning flares, broadcasting salvage rights under Dominion decree. Mara returned silence and powered Theta's old Gauss turrets. They coughed tungsten slugs that flayed the lead cutter's shield array. Kess launched from the brass lantern in a jury-rigged fighter, an engine strapped to a cockpit and prayers. She slalomed between station struts, venting decoys. Thrin's railpod clamped to a cutter's belly then detonated, peeling half its hull. Vree hijacked the 3rd ship's comms, blasting loops of archaic Terran opera into its bridge until the crew vented in panic. 8 minutes of violence. Then Apex Syndic burned retros and fled toward Jupiter's shadow. Ren exhaled, shaking. You just restarted a war for these, he said, brushing a frost-rimed canister labeled Triticum Estivum Heritage. Mara glanced at the blue sphere spinning beyond shattered viewports, swirl of clouds like bruised marble. The war never ended, she murmured. It only forgot its cause. While Mara fortified Sol, Captain Cross hurled Memory's ragtag flotilla at Arcturus Gate. The Dominion expected pirates. They met coordinated sabotage. Vex infiltrators disabled Skyhammer targeting relays moments before arrival. Human breachers used asteroid mining charges to punch through dry dock spines. By the time Dominion Dreadnought Vesture of Glory roused batteries, 3 capital frames were already under memory control. Yard's auto-fabricators rekeyed for Rebel IFF signatures. Cross-broadcast payroll ledgers proving Dominion admirals stockpiled famine relief funds as personal bonuses. Dockworkers mutinied on the spot, sealing their commanders and mag cells. Across the Holonet, riots flared anew. The Gra underlords smelled blood. They launched a stabilization incursion into Dominion Midrim, code for land grab. Juggernaut carriers breached border beacons, demanding tribute worlds. Dominion fleets, stretched thin, scrambled northward, leaving Sol Corridor suspiciously underguarded. Mara read the traffic and smiled like flint striking steel. Elias Rin guided her toward Luna, where the original Ark kernel lay beneath basalt. Automated S-class sentinels still prowled passages. Many recognized Rin's clearance. A few did not. Skirmishes echoed through ancient tunnels as memory troopers traded plasma with machines clinging to protocols 2 centuries obsolete. At the kernel's heart, they found a cathedral of bioluminescent algae pools and quantum cryo-racks. The final chamber housed Project Dawnseed, gene banks of extinct Earth flora and fauna, plus one more treasure, mirror boxes storing terabytes of pre-fall cultural memory. Songs, languages, histories erased by Dominion narrative shaping. Mara's helmet audio filled with static choir as archives awoke, nanolights swarming. Ren knelt, tears evaporating in microgravity. All this time, waiting for custodians. Mara touched a panel, transferring a shard of data to her armor's weave. Custodians arrived. But celebration cut short as Vree pinged an urgent overlay. Dominion Strike Group Obsidian Wing inbound. ETA 18 minutes. Apex Syndic had sold coordinates in revenge. Kess and Thren scrambled to rig Colonel's tunnel charges. Ren protested. Destruction would render Dawnseed unrecoverable. Mara decided on impossible option C, evacuation. Upload archives to Arcturus Gate's new fab banks. It required direct sunside burst through Dominion jammers. Vree's whiskers trembled. We'd need the old Helios relay offline, corroded. Then we switch it on, Mara snapped. They sprinted under wax-white Earthrise to the solar array, once feeding half the planet. Vex saboteurs jury-rigged capacitors. Ren rerouted fusion cells borrowed from Brass Lantern. Helios relay croaked, sputtered, then roared to life, an ancient beacon flinging petabytes of heritage across light hours and compressed quantum braids. Arcturus Gate acknowledged receipt moments before Dominion jammers blanketed the band. Strike Group Obsidian Wing entered lunar orbit, disgorging hypersonic boarding spikes. Memory gun nest shot many down, but one penetrated Helios control tower. Firefight in oxygen-free silence. Tracer streaks, bodies colliding, ice crystals blooming crimson. Mara cornered the Dominion Centurion on a balcony ringed by shattered solar mirrors. He raised an ornate pulsglaive. You're nothing but rust, he snarled through rebreather hiss. Mara's blade slid free, fabricated from Iraq treasury ingots she herself had loosed. Rust remembers the iron it came from. 2 strokes later the Centurion drifted apart, helmet tumbling like a broken crown. Vree signaled. Upload complete. Data safe. Kess's battered fighter soared overhead, firing flares while exfiltration craft rose from Sea of Tranquility, lit by nacelle blue. Escape corridors opened toward the still rebel-held Arcturus corridor. Dominion ships pursued, but Skyhammer cannons, now flown by Arcturus dockworkers, pivoted and unleashed white lances that shredded pursuers. The convoy slipped away into slipstream, carrying Earth's renaissance in its databanks. News of Dawnseed's rescue detonated across rebel space. Colonies starved for identity downloaded ancient Earth literature. Sylvan botanists sequenced forgotten Terran crops. Altari musicians sampled pre-fall blues riffs into rebellion anthems. Culture weaponized stronger than any railgun. Chancellor Kazur, cornered, ordered scorched sector decrees. If worlds sought memory's flag, they'd find only Dominion ashes. But his admirals balked. Some had families on those worlds. Mutiny flared in flagship wardrooms. Gra underlords pushed deeper, carving corridors toward Dominion core. Captain Cross broadcast a final ultimatum. Surrender your thrones to representative councils, or be left to the mercy of those you once oppressed. Kazur vowed to fight to last scale, but his transmission cut mid-vow as his own palace guards turned weapons on him, inspired by leaked videos of Earth children reciting poems older than Dominion's founding. In the quiet that followed, Memory Company ships formed honor escort around the brass lantern entering Arcturus port. Dock cranes saluted with klaxon choruses. Mara Hale disembarked with Elias Wren and a crystalline data arc. Captain Cross awaited, fatigued shadows under fierce eyes. They clasped forearms. "Home?" he asked. "Hurting," she answered, "but breathing." Cheers rolled down girders. Dockworkers of 20 species lifted the black flag, its lone word remember, alongside a new white pennant bearing an oak leaf entwined with alien vine. Cross addressed them hoarsely, "Tonight we sow dawn across stars." No grander speech is needed. Above, the Skyhammer batteries rotated west, not in defense, but to weld metal scaffolds into solar arrays. Fabricators below printed plowshares from melted Dominion hulls. In Stolen Night, new memory germinated. Embassies from independent Grog clans arrived seeking trade. Sylvan archivists offered fusion of Terran myth with forest psalms. Even ex-Dominion senators petitioned for amnesty under councils of mixed governance. Mara stood at viewport, watching salvage rigs tow Valhalla Station toward dry dock for restoration. Kess sidled up, bandaged wing shaking. "Think the galaxy's ready for what we planted?" Mara smiled, a tired curve yet bright. "Seeds don't ask readiness. They break soil because they must." Behind them, dock lights flickered from red alert to sunrise gold. Somewhere far off, repair crews on Luna hoisted first new habitat module using cranes last powered before anyone present was born. And across the datasphere, children uploaded artwork merging Helix Dagger with Ocan Vine Crest, captioned simply, "We were forgotten once. Not again." The fire of vengeance had cooled into forge heat of rebuilding, but embers still glowed, because memory knew tyrants never sleep long. Yet for this breath, the stolen cannons were silent, the seeds were safe, and the ghosts of Earth looked on, finally witnessed, finally at peace enough to whisper, "Go on." Solar dawn bled across the steel canyons of Arcturus Gate as welders sealed the last breach in Dock Spine 7, but Captain Aiden Cross's thoughts were already light years away. Hollow screens before him mapped pressure points across the crumbling Dominion. Mutinous fleets anchored in orbit around Harkin's twin suns, food riots on Jade Blue Severa, Gra juggernauts clawing corridor space one jump at a time. Hope surged in pockets, but chaos followed like a hungry shadow. Cross tapped one crimson icon, Vornak Rift Citadel, then another, Kesri Fuel Works. "We win skirmishes and plant festivals," he murmured to Mara Hale, "yet if the Gra secure those choke notes, every liberated moon strangles in a month." Mara rested gloved fingertips on the table. The bruises from Luna still ached, but resolve ran deeper. "Then we cut their claws before they latch." Not far away, Dr. Elias Wren briefed dockworkers on germination chambers, hundreds of cubic meters where Dawnseed's genome sprites would coax alien soils to cradle resurrected Earth crops. Between diagrams, he kept glancing at Skyhammer barrels reforged into crane booms, as if disbelieving weapons could truly become garden tools. At noon bell, an Altari courier skidded into ops, breath steaming in the chilled air. Priority burst from Sylvith Prime. Dominion remnant launching Nova Redeemer, planet killer rigged for plasma cascade. 6 days to firing line. Cross's pulse chilled. Nova Redeemers were myth, sunshot torpedoes large as cruisers, untested relics of an empire that preferred terror to occupation. If the Dominion lit one, they would torch hope itself. They target Sylvith, Mara realized, recalling streets where rebellion had first overthrown riot mechs. They want a lesson written in ash. Cross keyed fleet-wide frequency. All captains able to make 13 parsec sprint. Front to war stack Delta. Garden can wait. Without soil unscorched, seeds are moot. Memory's flotilla answered with a howl of jump signatures. The Dreadnought Iron Maw, 2 half-finished ex-Dominion frigates rechristened Heraith and Feral Light, a wing of jury-rigged corvettes, and, at Cross's request, Mara's modest brass lantern carrying a courier bay of ARC biosamples, living reminder of what was at stake. Combat algorithms predicted a 37% survival chance. No one blinked. During transit, Cross convened a war council via Hollow. Gra Representative Highclaw Rether appeared, massive shoulders hunched under war paint. His clan had split from the Underlords, seeing profit and honor in alliance. "We join strike," he rumbled, "but want spoils, Redeemer's core for our forges. Help us stop it and the casing is yours," Cross said. "The ignition crystals stay with memory, any yield charts get erased." Rether hammered chest plating in assent. As hours bled into sleepless calculation, Mara sat with Wren inside the lantern's medbay, cataloging seedlings. "We save worlds," he whispered, rotating a canister holding a single preserved cocoa tree embryo, "but children will still ask why worlds needed saving at all." "Then tell them a story," Mara said, "of empires so afraid of memory they tried to burn it, and of people who carried water in their hands across fire." They dropped from slip at Sylvith Graveline to hellish tableau. Dominion Task Force Cerastes ringed the Nova Redeemer, an obsidian spindle thrumming with sunfire at its core. Planetary shields on Sylvith already flickered under bombardment, arcs of plasma peeling upper atmosphere into Aurora Sanguine. Civilians crammed maglev stations, praying evacuation skiffs might outrun extinction. Cross open fleet comms. Principle is simple. Disable Redeemer's ignition coil, scuttle drive. We have 84 minutes before Cascade. Iron Moy surged, rail cannons spitting slugs half a ton each. Gra auxiliary cruisers dove like meteors, shredding picket frigates. Across vacuum-danced microfighters flown by Sylvan volunteers, craft once used for racing now harrying Dominion missile buses with improvised coil guns. Mara helmed brass lantern through debris, feinting engine failures to lure a patrol corvette close. At 200 meters, she blew retro thrusters, flipping the tug belly up so that boarding clamps latched under the corvette's dorsal fins. Vex commandos spilled across the hull, slicing through armor to pluck guidance crystals from the launching racks. The enemy lost half its targeting matrix before realizing the tug wasn't wreckage. On the Redeemer itself, Cross led infiltration via mining pods, a tactic polished on Talos 3. Pods punched into external coolant rings, boards wedged open, memory troopers stormed corridors glowing hazard amber. Dominion super soldiers in lacquered armor met them with flash halberds. Fighting turned hand-to-hand in steam and artificial gravity glitches. Hyclo Rether shouldered through, ripping bulkheads bare. Ignition core ahead, he bellowed, tusk slick with enemy blood. Cross sprinted beside him, jetpack and clasp. But Dominion Commander Cyrex awaited atop the core dais, cloak aflame from Sabo hits, eyes lunatic bright. You will not erase us, he hissed, jabbing control rod deeper. Her temperature climbed. Better a dead world than a memory owned by primitives. Blades clashed. Cross's dagger parried a halberd haft. Sparks cascaded like dying meteors. Rether barreled into Cyrex, both giants crashing against console banks. Mara's voice sparked through comm, 2 minutes from runaway. Cross planted the jetpack on the primary coupler, arm trembling. Cyrex, pinned under growl weight, grinned even as thorax armor cracked. Detonate and coil shatters, Nova all the same. Cross's mind raced. He keyed his mic. Hail, scratch plan ember. Initiate arcfall. Silence. Then Mara understood. She veered the lantern into a suicide trajectory, venting atmosphere to accelerate. In her hold, every seed canister hissed to cry a lockdown. She stared at Earth's oak and vine crest stenciled on cargo bay doors and whispered an apology neither her crew nor the seeds would hear. But Ren seized her wrist. There's another way, he gasped, shoving a drive into her palm, a microforged blueprint for pod seed caches wrapped in ablative foam. Jettison them to Sylvith. If we fail, the planet lives again one day. Mara's throat tightened. She triggered external racks. Canisters fired like comet sparks towards Sylvith's stratosphere, parachute shells blossoming. Then she diverted every capacitor into the tug's mining spike rail. Inside the Redeemer, Cross dragged Cyrex free of Rether's grip and slammed him against coolant glass. Call your fleet off. Cyrex spat. Never. Cross opened external channel to Dominion Bridge. This man just armed a genocide device. I wonder how many on your ships wish to die for his pride. Comm waves burst with overlapping shouts. Captains demanding status, lieutenants screaming mutiny. Fear-cracked discipline exactly where memory always aimed. Rether tore a fuel line, dousing coil housing in neutron scrub foam. Cross overrode the coupler saboteur key, halting climb at 98%. Yet residual charge would still flower if coolant didn't flood. That's when brass lantern hit. The tug's mining spike punched through Redeemer's outer coil mantle, venting plasma into vacuum like dragon breath. Mara peeled free, hull slagging, engines dead, but the rupture dumped heat faster than reactors could compensate. Critical threshold dropped below ignition. Cyrex roared, lunging. Rether's clawed gauntlet closed on his skull. Memory is claw, the grog growled, crushing. Bones popped. Cyrex stilled. Cross triggered the jetpack, now set to implode without shrapnel, welding coupler in permanent off-state. Alarms quieted, lights dimming to emergency blue. The Nova Redeemer became a corpse of ambition. 3 days of triage followed. Sylvith's shields held long enough for fire crews to snuff atmosphere blazes. Arc canisters landed in ocean shallows. Fishermen retrieved them like pearls. When Mara limped onto a makeshift pier, children draped her in woven algae garlands. Holofeeds across the galaxy replayed the moment Dominion pickets powered down weapons, retreating before the Revolution's ragtag armada. Senate halls and neutral systems erupted in celebration. Dominion propagandists went silent. Gra underlords sued for armistice, having lost face to defecting clans. At Arcturus Gate, Memory Company convened an open congress. Delegates from 27 worlds crowded hangar decks now scrubbed of scorch marks. Rether represented new Gra freeholds. Sylvith's provisional council streamed in by hollow. Oak leaves pinned beside crystal seashells. Cross addressed them, voice husky. Dominion's spine is cracked. We can chase fragments till doom, or we can build a spine of our own, one that bends to all, breaks for none. He proposed the Accord of Living Archives. Every liberated system holds copies of Earth's cultural seed and donates one archive of its own heritage. A lattice of mutual custody, destroy one node and hundreds remain. Knowledge is shared hostage and shared gift. Mara watched faces shift from skepticism to fragile wonder. She realized the fight was no longer just against forgetting. It was for remembering each other simultaneously. That scared her more than plasma fire. Cohabitation required courage few warlords possessed. Yet the vote tallied unanimous. The accord was signed on a slab of recycled Dominion hull, letters etched by welders of mixed species. Oak and vine entwined every crest. Night before ratification celebrations, Mara stood on a maintenance balcony. Ren joined, holding a mug of spiced CAF. "Seat's safe. Nova dead," he said, "and yet you look restless." She nodded at distant stars. "Dominion admirals still roam. Memory can't become occupation. Then become garden keepers," Ren said. "Tin soil, not borders." Footsteps echoed. Cross emerged, bandaged but resolute. Scouts confirm last Dominion flagship retreating toward the rift, but it drags a gravity well bomb. They'll tear space behind them, strand whole sectors. Mara's jaw set. "Send me." Cross shook his head. "No. This time we send a parliament, not a spear. Accord delegates will confront them together. And if they refuse? Then memory will light one more fire," he said softly. "But its fuel will be the will of many, not the rage of few." Mara exhaled, tension easing. Perhaps revolution could outgrow its ghosts. Below, mechanics lifted the slab treaty onto a dais. Torchlight flickered along letters. Children gathered, murmuring new songs, tunes blending Terran blues with Sylvan tidal drums and Gra throat harmonics. The music rose, imperfect, glorious. For a heartbeat, Mara imagined Earth's long-dead poets leaning over her shoulder, whispering, "This is the sound of never again." She allowed herself a rare smile, knowing dawn still required watchful centuries, but for now, dawn indeed. A pall of bruised starlight shrouded the Vornak rift when the Accord's envoy fleet translated in, a procession unlike any ever recorded, the dreadnought Iron Maw with its scars left visible in defiant homage. 3 freshly refit Gra freehold cruisers whose hull glyphs now braided human helix, Gra claw, and Sylvan tide rune. The spindle-slender Altari carbon sloop luminous thread bearing a botanical nursery inside its centrifugal rings. And, at the column's heart, the treaty ship Auroras. Lexicon, a mobile archive whose vaults already mirrored memory seeds from 31 liberated worlds. No guns were hot, but every emitter hummed ready, an orchestra of restrained thunder. Ahead loomed the Dominion flagship crown of Continuum, black as obsidian sorrow. Once centerpiece of Imperial parades, it now crawled with jury-patched armor and flickering shield overlaps, testimony to a regime spending blood faster than it mined loyalty. Beneath its keel pulsed the gravity well bomb, chained like a leviathan heart, an ancient toroid of exotic mass that, upon detonation, would shear local space-time into currents no drive could navigate for decades. Stranding worlds was revenge refined into strategy. On the Lexicon's diplomacy deck, Captain Aiden cross-adjusted his collar of plain field gray, no rank, no medals, then glanced along the semicircle of co-delegates. Hyclo Rether towering an iridescent bone plate freshly inscribed with the Accord's oak and vine. Sylvith caretaker Governor Diavosh draped in rebuilt riot cloth patched with first harvest leaves. Young Valari linguist Ferrix wearing nothing but hollow-scripted symbols of transparency. And Mara Hale stood beside Cross in patched vacuum armor, a single acorn badge on her chest, its bronze surface worn bright by nervous thumbs. "Com channel," Cross ordered. The Crown's bridge answered with an image, Admiral Kareth Vare, gaunt scales dulled, eyes burning with doctrine-fed spite. "Curators of treason," he rasped, "vacate the rift or be interred within it." Cross spoke first. "Admiral, your Chancellor is deposed, your revenue corps in mutiny, your border fleet's defecting hourly. Detonate the well and you trap your own citizens with us. Lay down the crown, join the Assembly Tribunal, help mend what you broke." Rether added a low rumble. "Gra clans offer warriors clemency. Stand, accept loss with shrines intact." Vare's laugh buzzed like blade on bone. "You parade savages, but I alone possess salvation. Memory may bind rebels, a rift binds all. History will remember purity preserved from infection." He gestured off-screen, activation codes primed. Mara muted output, hissed, "He's willing. No bluff." Cross's jaw clenched. "Then we split spear and scroll." Over encrypted burst, he dispatched silent instructions, evacuation corvettes to orbital safe arcs, Lexicon's vault AI to microshard its data across escort drones, Altari sloop to power reactor hypercoolant loops. If the well rippled, memory might still outrun oblivion. Time inched. Vayer counted down from 120 seconds, broadcasting to ensure guilt etched onto Accord hearts. With each numeral, Mara felt a shadow of her Luna desperation, the echo of seeds jettisoned through fire. At T73 Cross reopened audio. "Admiral, final offer. See what we carry." He tapped Lexicon's holofloor. Panes of light unfurled, projecting not weapons but art, fragments of Dominion pre-imperial lullabies, Gross stone chants, Sylvan tide sonnets, Earth's dawn photographs stitched into an impossible mosaic. Each fragment annotated with donor coordinates, Curator names. We safeguard yours too, Cross said, voice quiet as snowfall. Give the crown, and we preserve the stories even you forgot. Vayer's pupils constricted, the hymn of his mother tongue flickered across a screen, a nursery melody outlawed after cultural consolidation. His jaw worked soundlessly. Then fury swallowed hesitation. Degenerate trickery, he spat, stabbing confirmation rune. Inside Crown's keel, graviton coils began to hum. Sensor feeds spiked. Rift tides stirred. Mara turned across, no time for counsels. He nodded once, uncharted permission, and she bolted for the shuttle bay, Rether pounding behind. The brass lantern, patched but flightworthy, catapulted from Lexicon docks, Rether's bulk wedged in co-pilot harness. They raced under battleship flak while Accord frigates lit suppression barrages, trying to fracture the well casing before ignition crescendo. The lantern skimmed close enough to kiss reactor wake, grapples biting into maintenance gash left by earlier mutiny shell. Hull sensors shrieked as space-time eddied. Mara's gut felt like glass twisting. They breached via service shaft, boots slamming onto catwalks that rippled like drumskins under gravitational discord. Automated turrets spat mercury rounds. Rether shrugged impacts, hide sparking. Mara lobbed concussive mines repurposed from mining charges, non-lethal to crew but hell on targeting optics. Through a blister window, she glimpsed Redeemer's spectral remains far astern, reminder that impossibility was merely precedent awaiting repetition. Central core, a cathedral of spinning rings, each loaded with neutron-dense pellets feeding singularity prep. Control altar above, Vayer standing cloaked by magnetic veil, final glyph sequence glowing before him. Mara's pulse thundered. She called out, Admiral, stories survive you, choose how they tell yours. He turned, eyes raw. They will call me the dam against rot. He pressed enter. Rether roared, launching upward on grav pylon clamps, but Fields buckled, hurling him aside. Mara drew her sidearm, knowing bullets useless against plating or conviction. Then memory surged, the acorn badge scratching her glove, seed of oaks that once anchored ancient soil. She toggled her comm to broadcast the soft hum of Vox Archive number 17, the lullaby fragment Vayer had flinched at. The melody poured into the chamber, pure, untainted by centuries. Vayer's finger froze. Music rippled across shield harmonics like breeze through leaves. He trembled, visor clouding with condensation, tears or static. The gravity rings wavered, Kurt Trimmer pausing at 92%. Mara advanced, holstering her gun. Your mother sang that beneath a blue dusk. We found it in Dominion debris, kept it safe because memory belongs to children, not regimes. Let them hear it planetside, not as funeral dirge. Vayer's shoulders sagged. For a heartbeat, Empire's weight cracked. But guilt flared panic. He slapped secondary initiator, screaming purity. Before ring harmonics could resync, Rether hurled a severed pylon into the control dais. Circuits erupted. Feedback surged through coils and white arc lightning, ripping startup alignment. Failsafes defaulted to containment override, venting pellet arrays into space like meteor beats. The well bomb died mid-breath. Yet energy backlash ripped decks apart. Mara and Rether staggered as bulkheads peeled. Vayer stumbled toward them, suit sparking. Bridge glass shattered, atmosphere roaring out. Mara's tether yanked. She caught Vayer's wrist as he drifted. His visor reflected the lullaby data rune still flickering on ruined console. She saw regret and terror swirl, but she had one arm only. Rether extended claw, but structure sheared again. Vayer's grip slid from glove, body spiraling into vacuum, vanishing among pellet stardust. Shuttle extraction was chaos. Lantern's hull scored. Engines at 30%, rift tide sloshing. Accord escorts formed protective corridor. Behind them, crown of continuum vented plasma fields. Silent, dark, the Empire's last spear snapped. 40 hours later in neutral orbit above Sylvith, an emergency assembly convened inside the Lexicon's amphitheater. Delegates listened as engineering guilds confirmed the well bomb rendered inert. Usable for zero-point research once detoxified. No casualties planetside. First shipment of oak vine seedlings already sprouted in trial biodomes. Mara stood before crowd, armor torn, badge scorched but intact. One man died to memory he feared, she said, but millions lived because memory found him first. She placed Vayer's broken command insignia into an archive alcove beside the lullaby file. Let artifacts teach, not rule. Hyclo Rether announced Graf freehold recognition of the Accord, ending centuries of raider sovereignty. Sylvith Governor Voss pledged stellar grain convoys to famine moons. Even a delegation of chastened Dominion captains sought entry, offering star chart archives in exchange for amnesty hearings. Cross concluded, we chose scroll and spear. Scroll endures longer. Now we sheath spear, keep it oiled, but let craftsmen build steadier homes. Cheers blossomed, ragged, weary, true. Months passed. Skyhammer cranes lifted garden domes. Gravity well carcass became university ring studying space-time without weaponizing it. Accord patrols, mixed crews, escorted refugee flotillas back to shattered colonies. Where turrets once enforced tithe, beacon libraries broadcast music packets and agronomy guides. Children learned to speak in polyglot nursery mashups, their playground chants weaving fragments of a lullaby that had halted doom. Mara Hale found herself in a valley on Sylvatha's southern continent, knees in black loam planting first oak sapling beside alien lilac. Dr. Wren hovered, lecturing microbes. Kess skimmed overhead in repurposed racer jet painting contrails of fertilizer mist. She pressed soil around roots, remembering ancestral forests unseen by any living Terran, yet reborn here because memory would not yield. Cross visited, bearing a box of acorn badges minted from melted crown hull. He knelt, set one at trunk base. Armor into seeds, he mused. Poetic logistics. Mara smiled. Story ends. Stories breathe, Cross said. We guard lungs. He handed her data pad. Sensor logs of First Accord expedition mapping beyond Rift with Dominion relic drives now reconfigured for exploration, not conquest. Destination tags read like Hopes, Foundry of Morning, Quiet Sea Nebula, Home's Echo. That night, under twin moons, a festival sparked across fields. Gra drummers pounded rhythms echoing iron hearts. Sylvan singers layered tidal drones. Human children picked up chords and turned them into laughter. Fireflies, genetic cousins of Earth originals, danced over new shoots. And from acoustic towers, the lullaby played in full, no longer a secret trauma but a living harmony. Mara leaned against a tractor husk converted into bench. Retha rumbled past offering fermented root drink. She toasted absent friends, Rhea lost at Talos, Jax at Redeemer Coil, Vayer in Cold Expanse, and felt neither rage nor sorrow, only fierce resolve that their chapters remain inked. A comet flared on horizon, tail-painting possibilities. Somewhere, beyond known lanes, remnants of old empires plotted fresh chains, but they would face a galaxy inoculated against forgetting, a constellation of archives held in common. Memory, once a weapon of vengeance, had become the seed of permanence. And those who carried it, human, Gra, Valari, Sylvan, Altari, had etched a vow deeper than tariffs or star law. Never erase, never again. As dawn threatened to wash festival lanterns pale, Mara whispered to the oak sapling, grow tall. Spread shade the Dominion never offered. When children rest beneath you, may they learn to fear only the loss of stories. Leaves rustled, catching first light. It sounded like applause. The torch and the shard, the oak and the vine, sigils glowed on banners lifting in soft wind. The galaxy exhaled, not in final peace, but in earned breath, ready for new verses. And where derelict satellites once circled a dead sun, restored beacons now flashed across star lanes. Remember,